For a long time, Love Actually was actually a well-loved Christmas movie. But as time's gone by, there's been a backlash. That's what always happens to perfect things. With time and perspective, society seems to tear them down. It's what happened to Milli Vanilli, and it's what happened to Whole Milk. It's a combo of fatigue and a loss of temporal context. Yo, I really just dropped a temporal context in this voiceover. Shout out to 9th grade vocabulary class. I admit some of the backlash is warranted, but I'm a staunch defender of Love Actually, despite its imperfections. Hence this video. This is in defense of Love Actually. Okay, what is Love Actually? It's a bunch of interwoven love stories. Love stories might be generous. It's a bunch of interwoven stories. Interwoven might also be generous, but moving on. The storylines. There's basically 9 storylines, some much bigger than others. There's the rock star and his manager, Billy, Mac, and Joe. There's the prime minister and Natalie. There's Jamie and Aurelia. There's Harry, Karen, and Mia in a love triangle. There's Daniel, Sam, and Joanna not in a love triangle. There's Carl, Sarah, and her brother, also not in a love triangle, although kinda. There's Mark, Juliet, and Peter, also kinda a love triangle, creepy. There's Colin Frizzell, and there's John and Judy. Problems. Yes, it's got some problematic things for a Christmas movie. First of all, 2 of the characters, John and Judy, are stand-ins for movie sex scenes. That's a bit of a strange choice for a holiday movie you might be watching with your nana that also includes a little boy having a crush on a little girl. And I really don't want to have to address the stalker from The Walking Dead, but here I go. The fact that people have repeatedly reused this in pop culture as a romantic device is kind of strange. I mean, it's a guy who's obsessed with his best friend's new wife, sort of making a play for her. And then it's her kissing him and then heading on back to her husband like nothing happened. This does not say anything, shout out Lloyd Dobler. It's more Every Breath You Take by The Police. People think it's a love song, but it's actually about a stalker. But look, sometimes when things are great, we have to overlook the bad. It was a different time. Stalking was okay. I'm just kidding. This was always really weird. There's a lot of misogyny and a lot of fat shaming, especially of a woman who is definitely not fat. And yes, it's mostly white people, specifically hetero white people. But in 2003, that's what movies were. That doesn't make it okay, but we can't be mad at cavemen for not using electricity. They didn't have it yet. That is a terrible metaphor. I see that now. But it's important to remember temporal context. Okay, that's a lot of reasons as to why it's bad, but let's talk about why it's great. The cast. So many A-list actors. First, you've got Hugh Grant, the GOAT of rom-com actors and the beloved star of Paddington 2. You got Liam Neeson's.
Liam Neeson is my shiznit.
Colin Firth, Emma Thompson, Keira Knightley, Alan Rickman. By the way, with this and Die Hard on his resume, he might be the GOAT of Christmas villain actors. Bill Nighy, not the science guy. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Andrew Lincoln, Laura Linney, Rowan Atkinson, Martin Freeman, Thomas Brody Songster. Okay, I had to look up his name, but he went on to make all kinds of stuff. Do you realize how crazy it is that all these people are in this one movie? It's like the Yugoslavian national basketball team from the late 80s. I realize no one who is watching this video likely gets that reference, but that one is for me. The writing. Let's talk about the writing. Richard Curtis wrote and directed this. He's the godfather of romantic comedy writers. 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Bridget Jones, and for my money, the best rom-com of all, Notting Hill. He's on the rom-com Mount Rushmore with Nora Ephron and Nancy Meyers, and likely someone else I'm forgetting. So, whoever you think I left off, go ahead and put them in the 4th spot. Richard Curtis is responsible for some of the most iconic scenes and iconic lines in romantic comedy history. I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her. The moments. Love Actually is a collection of wonderful stories, but even if some of the stories don't hold up or fall a little flat, Love Actually is still a collection of wonderful moments. Hugh Grant dancing. Iconic. And not iconic in an overused sort of way, genuinely iconic. The card scene, if you ignore what's actually going on, I mean. This scene gets referenced time and time again. Ted Lasso, Saturday Night Live, and so many commercials. It's almost romantic. Again, assuming you ignore what's really happening. Emma Thompson's acting. I don't know if this is a moment for anyone else, but for me, I think this is some spectacular acting. Laura Linney's joyous freak out on the stairs, the physical comedy of Rowan Atkinson, and the perfect use of what eventually will become the most overused holiday song since Jingle Bells, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Comedy with emotion. The thing that makes Love Actually work so well where other films come up short is its ability to be funny while still having emotional stakes. For a long time, especially in the late 90s and early 2000s, we had comedies and we had dramas. It seemed like everything was either entirely funny or entirely serious. What's particularly nice about Love Actually is it's funny and it still manages drama without making every moment sad, like so sad or so serious. I love The Bear, but sometimes the anxiety-inducing drama of it all is too much for me. And in 2025, The Bear is considered a comedy. Love Actually manages to have some silly jokes, but stays grounded enough that the emotional stuff works. The ending. Okay, I'm going to get a little film geeky here, but I want to talk about the construction of the ending. It's easy to have a lot of storylines, but it's difficult to get them to resolve satisfactorily for the audience in a timely manner. I think this is what Richard Curtis does best. The ending of Notting Hill is as good as it gets. Not the movie as good as it gets, it's just the ending of Notting Hill is great. Bridget Jones' ending is great too. And Love Actually, with its many storylines, does a nice job of following the things that made those other two endings work so well. We round up the players in the movie. We throw in some driving music. We increase the speed and energy of the editing. It's a build, build, build. Our storylines begin to intersect and resolve. And inevitably, a main character runs after the thing that they've been chasing after initially giving up on it. We come to a moment where we as the audience expect to roll our eyes at the chase paying off. Like, of course, it's a movie. It'll work out. But then we get failure. And we kick ourselves for believing in happiness. And then, while we're busy kicking ourselves for believing in happiness, we get a reprieve. In this case, the girl comes out and kisses the boy. Final argument. We live in a world of progress, a world that every day ideally becomes a bit more diverse, and a world that ideally becomes a bit more accepting. It inches forward, and ideally our cinema reflects that. If you look back at the history of cinema, I think you can see that progression. But with progress comes history and relics of the past that maybe aren't what we wish they were. I think that's okay. It doesn't make them less meaningful, especially when we remember the temporal context. At its core, Love Actually is a movie about love. All sorts of love. And sure, it doesn't cover every type of love, but it does its best to honor love. And I made this video to honor Love Actually because once a year I enjoy popping it on and watching, and then seeing a scene or a moment I forgot about, and then cringing a bit, and then moving on and getting back to enjoying it. Because it's okay to like things. Even perfect, imperfect things like Love Actually.